Hello! Oliver's back in the house, or, well, in the moving vehicle, and I've got another loaf of bread for you today. Today's loaf comes to us from the novelist Hermann Hesse, and he says, "There is no reality except the one contained within us. That's why so many people live an unreal life. They take images outside them for reality and never allow the world within them to assert itself." This perfectly summarizes the dilemma or the paradox that we face as a species, especially living in our materialistic culture. Our world is very much driven by superficial appearances, outward appearances, material possessions, status, and things of that nature. And so if we are born into this culture and we never encounter anything that forces us to question its underlying assumptions, it is very likely that we will fall into this trap of living strictly for external goods and external experiences. We will place all of the importance on these external images, these images that are outside of us, and we will do exactly what Hermann Hesse says in this quote. We will never allow the internal reality to take root. And so we will always feel empty and lost and aimless until we allow that inner reality to take a firm grip of us, to establish itself. Now, I don't know that I necessarily agree with the first line. I think there is a reality outside of us. I just don't think we'll ever get to know it truly and accurately. Because everything that we experience through our senses is translated into mind images. Everything that you are watching and smelling and hearing right now is happening inside your mind. It's not actually happening out there. Now, in my opinion, this movie that you're experiencing inside the amphitheater of the mind, if you will, is based on data that comes from outside of our bodies. Our senses pick up information, they translate it into these forms of stimuli, and then that's what we experience internally. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing out there. And in fact, I think if there were nothing out there, there would be nothing in here for us to experience. Because the movie, the picture, the simulation, whatever you want to call it, your day-to-day experience of things as they are, that is based on things as they are. So Hesse and I disagree on that. But in principle, he's right. The only reality you will ever experience is the one that is inside your head. It's the one that you're experiencing right now. Your subjective, day-to-day experience of the world. And so, if you are completely and exclusively focused on the external world, as I was for the first 30 years of my life, then you're going to have this persistent feeling of emptiness, of something being amiss. And it might not be very strong at all times. In fact, it might be something very subtle and hard to identify, like a nagging sensation somewhere in the way back of your head, maybe in the pit of your stomach. But it is there, and it will prevent you from fully enjoying life and from fully experiencing all the glory that is existence in this human body. Because it really is a privilege to be a human for a lifetime. You might have been a rock. You might have been a tree. You might have been a rat or a worm or bacteria in some giant creature's gut. That's a possibility. Those are all manifestations of the one consciousness, but instead, you happen to be in this body this time around, and for a limited time. So it would be really a shame if you didn't take full advantage of that. And I don't think you can take full advantage of it unless you develop that inner reality that Hermann Hesse is talking about in this quote. So do yourself a favor. Start thinking about this kind of stuff and try to allow the inner reality to assert itself, because it is more real than what we call reality. This external world that we're so wrapped up in is a mirage. It's a dream. And when you wake up from the dream, you see it for what it is. But until then, you're going to keep thinking that the dream is the waking world and that it is all of reality, and you will get very much lost in it, and you will assign it undue importance. And that leads to suffering in my personal experience. Anywho, that's it for me on this lovely drive home. Thanks once again for joining me, and don't forget to live well.